ahead and call the meeting to order. If everybody will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any agenda adjustments? No? Okay. 2.1, to approve the minutes of the October 26, 2022 Board of Directors meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? No discussion? All right, seeing how there's no discussion, I'll call for the vote. Is Bob on? Has he joined us? Okay. So he's not on. So I could just, for a show of hands, all those in favor?
I'm not voting because I haven't read. I'm just abstaining because I haven't had a chance to look at them.
Okay. We go ahead and approve the minutes. It's Chrissy abstaining. Now we'll move on to number 3, public comment. If anybody has any thing they'd like to say, please approach the microphone or let us know on Zoom. Please introduce yourself and the town that you are from. Seeing as there's no comment, I'll go ahead and move on. Are there any petitions and communications? All right, we'll move on to superintendent's reports.
Okay. As you saw in the packet, which I'm pulling it up, that we had a really good learning time at the Maine School Management Conference. Bob English did join us, and Kathy Martin and I went, and there were a lot of sessions around school board challenges that you've probably been hearing in the news, a lot around public participation, saw First Amendment rights, things like that. So it was good updates on hot topics and how to address those. We also went to things about negotiations, alternative pathways for students, attendance matters. There was stuff on school construction. So a lot of really valuable information. We heard from David Horsager, who does Trust Edge Leadership Institute, and he spoke with superintendents on Wednesday, and then he was the keynote speaker going into the conference, and he talks a lot about the trust edge and how top leaders gain faster results, deeper relationships, and a stronger bottom line. And he spoke about the 8 pillars, and the first pillar is clarity, which we've been working really hard about being clear with communications, transparent, and really working on trying to be as clear as we can of what we're trying to communicate. And so he was very inspirational. Went and saw Clue. I don't know how many people were able to go see the play, but it was very funny. And Destiny, who was Miss Scarlett, and she was outstanding and funny. But they had a lot of good time. We have very talented students in our theater program, drama program, and obviously they have the next come up is Beauty and the Beast the musical, and I think tryouts started today. And Destiny might want to say something about that. I know she was trying out. And then just talking about that, Jill and I attended Litchfield to do a public, and Sharon, thank you for being there.
Thank you.
You behind the scene, popping the numbers was very helpful. And but, you know, even though there may only be 2 people, there were 2 people that were more informed, and they could talk to 2 people who talked to 2 people, and I think it made a difference reaching out and being proactive and working with people, and you know that this was catastrophic if it didn't go through. This wasn't a time to make a stand. This was really all about our students, our staff, and our educational program, and I think they really understood that when we talked with Litchfield. So I thought that was great opportunity to build relationships and trust. I thought that was all good. So that's my report.
Thank you. And we'll move on to Assistant Superintendent will be next meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We'll move on to administrative reports. And Mr. Miles and Ms. Stevens.
Hello. Should it be showing up?
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Gonna need to share your screen.
I know, hold on.
All right, there you go. There we go. All right. Good evening. Tonight I will be giving an overview of recent events at Libby Tozier, and then our assistant principal, Michaela Stevens, will be sharing out about Carrie Ricker. So I can go ahead to the first slide. Tonight I'd like to spotlight a couple of teachers and events that are really exciting for our Libby Tozier community as we continue to work towards supporting the whole child. Our first slide shows our recent Power School Gradebook Professional Development. This was taken on by our amazing kindergarten teacher, Nikki Willett, who led the PD by starting off with a Power School dance party. Nikki took a difficult and new topic for many teachers, which can be challenging, and made it into something that was manageable, accessible, and even fun. Next, over there is our combined Carrie Ricker and Libby Tozier online book study. This book study, which is currently at 15 volunteers between the two schools, stem from our social emotional work we have been working on during the past 2 months. On our workshop day, we had Joe Beckman, the conference, and continued with our social emotional PD. And our online book study allows individuals to write and respond to other posts in a collegiate way, while having our final book study combining individuals from both schools for a discussion in December in person. Next, oops, I'll get there. Is, there you go, got it. Next is our PE teacher, Kyle Stanley. Kyle constantly goes above and beyond for every single student. He has also been mentoring a UMaine student to pursue her degree in kinesiology. And we've been doing lots of fun and exciting activities in the morning, such as our wiggle parties, to get the social emotional day going. This last slide goes over our positive office referrals and positive bus referrals that Ms. Stevens will talk about more that involve both Libby Tozier and Carrie Ricker schools.
Hello, everyone. So at Carrie Ricker, we are doing a lot of fun things with our students and really looking at promoting academics as well as social emotional learning. So the fourth grade team came up with this hashtag, It's Monday, What Are You Reading? And all of the students were able to tie-dye a shirt together, so it was kind of like a couple-week process. And then we have a talented teacher that went in and put the Cricket logo on each student's shirt just to promote some conversations around books. So whenever you see a kid wearing a shirt, you can just ask them, hey, what are you reading? And then it promotes that conversation through teachers. Third graders are talking to fourth graders about it. And it's just a really fun way to kind of think about other people's interests in an academic way too. And we had a lot of fun doing it, as you can see. We even had a group of students present it at our October assembly, and they were like yelling out hashtag, and then they would have to say, it's Monday, what are you reading? So that everyone in the entire school was a part of it, and so everyone felt welcomed. The next thing was a teacher who was doing 5 themes of geography and then going over the mapping, which we all know can be kind of tedious, doing maps and maps and maps. But it was October, so she decided to use pumpkins and also make it into a fun competition. So what she did is she asked to have a panel of judges come in to review the kids' work. And they were able to be like most creative, most realistic, just some really fun categories where the kids all could be winners. So they took their pumpkins, they did Latin Long, were able to present the pumpkin to the panel of judges of all the different components that they had to use for their mapping assignment. And it was just a really cool, fun activity, and just to show, like, yes, we're learning, but we can make it fun too for the kids. And every kid ended up winning, just knowing the material, having fun, and then we're able to kind of show off their pumpkins and have different people in the room kind of see what they're learning. So building our nest, we're really looking to find just reasons to promote positivity, good, just communication with one another. So we started with the positive office referrals, and that's at Libby Tozier and Carrie Ricker. And it's a fun way where kids can just be noticed for doing something that they're doing every single day. And it's not just the students that are coming to the office to have a tougher conversation about behavior. It's a fun conversation and an instant call home about the good things that are happening at school. And it's kind of funny when you call a parent and they're like, oh, what is it? And I'm like, it's good. So that was really nice. Actually, today, I had a huge positive office referral with a teacher bringing her whole class in my office. And if you guys have seen my office, it's a very tiny office. But a whole class was in there. So they're coming in and they're thinking that, like, this is going to, or they're thinking, I think it's a tough conversation. So I'm kind of looking at them like, all of you guys, really? And then they were like, hiding their little grins, knowing it was for a good thing. So they got to pick out a prize box, and we have a huge positive office referral hanging in their classroom for their teachers. So that was really nice. We're also working with John and Kathy from the bus, and really thinking about how can we promote that positive behavior on the bus too, because we want to see it everywhere. We want to see it in our schools. We want to see it on our buses. And so we came up with You Were Caught Being Good on purple bus, pink bus. We went through every single bus. And it's just a way where a bus driver can quickly hand it out to a kid that's doing well. And they can see, like, oh, that kid's getting that. Why are they getting that special something? And then they can model that behavior. So we're actually going to roll this out on Monday after talking to Kathy, and just kind of talk about how can we build those relationships everywhere we go. So those are the things happening at Libby Tozier and Carrie Ricker. And thank you, guys.
Any questions?
Is there a prize box for the bus referral?
That piece of paper is just so nice in itself, where that surprise. I mean,
That's reward enough for both.
yeah. Well, what I really would like is them to run off the bus and show their parents. And I just think that in itself is like, I have something that I can keep, and I get to show when I get home. But if it ends up being something that needs to be done, I don't think we should put it on the bus. Maybe it's something they can get at the school. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next, it is SPS and Oak Hill Middle School. Miss St. Pierre, Miss Hudner, and Miss Arnold.
Did you guys like coordinate all each
Did you plan that?
We had nothing better to do at 5 o'clock this morning.
Right, right. Of course.
Okay. So I'm Annie Arnold for Sabatis Primary School. The first slide, you'll see the Sammy Superstar Lunch. That's a fancy setup table that was in the cafeteria in front of all the other students. So the Sammy Superstars is a PBIS reward for students of the month, basically, who are exhibiting safe, respectful, responsible behavior most of the time or all the time. It was rolled out following the community meeting in October. We're going to do it monthly. So lunch is in the cafeteria with coloring pages and crayons and little medals that they can wear. And there's a student at the school that's still wearing his medal. And he's like, I never take it off. That's funny. And they get a little certificate too. It created quite a buzz with the other students. A lot of kids are like, how'd they get that? And well, you have to earn it. And then this is how. So I look forward to seeing who I get to have lunch with this month, the end of this month. The next slide, please. So this is just the book cover to show we have lots of different things going on at our PLG time at SPS. We have a book study for some of the ed techs. Some of the other ed techs who aren't participating in it this year have already done it last year. So we also have the Power School, lots of Power School training going on, kind of working in conjunction with the coaches, supporting teachers with the curriculum, the standards, the pacing, to go alongside of the new grading platform and kind of navigate that whole situation. A lot of tech support has actually come from central office and different places in the district to come help us as well. That's been really good. Let's see. The book study also goes in conjunction with the PPEG goals that for the ed techs. I just wanted to make sure I said that. And also, Becky D'Alessandro has been working with sound walls for some of the teachers. She started last year with a training, so some of the teachers are at Libby Tozier, and they've today they came over to our school to do like a 45-minute continued training. So that was very cool. And the other teachers at that time were working on building some SOPs for playground toys. There's no slide for the next thing, so I'm not going to talk about that quite yet. But future work in our PLGs includes work with the literacy coach. We have 6-week cycles to shape and tighten up the writing instruction using student-driven data and units of study curriculum. This important work is teacher-chosen and tightly aligned to our SPS ESA goals of having 80% of students increase their scores on the units of study rubric by a point, which is a pretty big deal. It's a pretty big goal. So this slide is Megan Brown. She came to SPS and did a bus safety course. So we made a big, long, fake school bus with metal chairs. Lots and lots of people helped with that, so that was pretty awesome. Teamwork. She facilitated the session with, we called them down by bus color. So they were kind of like used to who they were sitting with, and we could have that discussion like maybe that's not a good choice of seating partners, or and they were able to like see the kids that they normally see around them. And we also called down pickup kiddos and aftercare students in case we do field trips and things like that. So they were all able to get the instruction. Next slide. And the next is kind of just like the fun things that are happening around the school. We can't see it because I didn't take a picture of the music, but the second graders are practicing their music their Christmas concert or winter concert. It's so cute. I wish I could show a video, but it wasn't quite like ready. So, but they're so cute. They're doing their little dances, and I just can't wait to see them. Oh my gosh. And so there's lots of fall art that's kind of like up everywhere all around. Halloween and fall and scarecrows and all kinds of cute stuff. And I went into the art class the other day, and the artist like at the very top is Elma Thomas. So all the kids were emulating her artwork, and one of the students was even able to tell me that in those words, like, we're doing the work of Elma Thomas, and it's abstract, and it's like repeating patterns with mixed media. I just can't believe the vocabulary that these kiddos have. It was incredible. So that's what's happening at SPS.
Hi, everyone. Oh. So at Oak Hill Middle School, I can't move this. We just wrapped up parent-teacher conferences last week, and I'm pleased to say that teachers connected with over 70% of the 400 families at Oak Hill Middle School. So in the first slide, in mid-October, Mrs. Reynolds, Mr. Ireland, and Mrs. Spencer's students worked with Dr. Eason from the University of Maine at Orono to complete a high-altitude balloon launch. And in that first picture, students had completed various experiments, and they learned how these experiments would withstand extreme conditions at 120,000 feet into the stratosphere. So as you can see from the photo, the Maine Department of Education gave our students a shout out by sharing our Facebook post. In health class, Mr. Menace and students have been learning alongside Healthy Androscoggin as they learn to prepare healthy meals. One meal was learning about various smoothies that could be made for breakfast. In Mrs. Bouchard's class in 7th grade science, students are learning about physical and chemical changes. And classes made oobleck, which you can see down at the bottom in the blue, which is a fluid made from cornstarch and water that solidifies when force is applied, as they learned about different states of matter. In Mrs. Cody's literacy class, she had students fill out an interest survey at the start of the school year. And in this survey, she includes projects that have a real-world relevance, such as interviewing an expert in your field of choice or by creating an inquiry-based project. These projects are offered as enrichment to the regular curriculum with the goals of completing activities that are personally meaningful and student-driven. Last year, students completed several small community service projects, and this year students were excited about creating a newspaper for our community and studying news, how it connects nicely with critical thinking skills in addition to the reading standards that are required. The long-term goal is to involve all 4 grades, which will provide a strong infrastructure for a news writing club eventually at the middle school. And we were really excited that Judy Mayer, the executive editor of the Sun Journal, was able to read through the first edition that Ms. Hudner just handed out to all of you and give our students some feedback for their writing. Next slide.
As we continue to build our nest at the middle school, staff and students participated in a whole school week-long mystery adventure. Throughout the week, Oak Hill Middle School received clues during advisory where they had to work together to solve the mystery. As a culminating activity, staff and students gathered in the gym for an assembly to reveal the answer to the mystery. Staff continue using advisory time to build relationships among students as we refocus and build our school community. Mr. Menace and Ms. Bamford, along with student council members, are collecting food items for holiday baskets to give out in the community. Next week, the Student Council will host a Spirit Week with different opportunities to showcase school spirit throughout the week.
And this slide is how we are working on professional development, which continues to focus on supporting the whole student approach to learning. So as we implement integrated systems of support, we're mindful of creating a culture that encompasses every nook and cranny inside and outside of the school building. And we're very intentional about how we're developing a common language that will be consistent through grades 5 through 8. In October, staff worked with Mrs. Butterworth, the trainer, to identify core values that will best support our students' social emotional growth and to improve the overall school climate. Other professional development that teachers have been working on has been encompassing NWEA data to continue supporting the teaching and learning in classrooms. And grade level teams are disaggregating data to really hone in on areas in need of additional support. So that's what's happening at Oak Hill Middle School. Questions?
I have just a quick one.
Sure.
You said 70% of students were able to attend the conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any idea how many signed up for the parent portal while they were there? Would you say it was equal amount? Or?
Everybody who attended stopped by and got their paperwork, so.
Okay. So about 70% signed up there? Cool.
How to do it.
We had some difficulty logging in.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we figured it out on our own.
That's too.
Okay.
I guess I'll save it for Norma Jean.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next, we'll have Mr. Aliberti and Mrs. Science.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for a few moments of your time to share some happenings at Oak Hill High School. I got to turn this, don't I? See if I can do this at the same time. Oh, there we go. There we go. As the school year has progressed, we have had a number of wonderful student and staff happenings that have continued to build the nest. We start with the most recent event, the drama production of the play Clue. The play was directed by Lucy Ryu, assistant directed by Emily Sue Barker, and tech directed by Dave Marr, and also costume designed by Lynn Swan. The production included 15 student actors and 8 student stage crew members. Our own representative, Destiny Samari, played Miss Scarlet, as you pointed out. The play, a comedic murder mystery, was so much fun to watch. I attended Saturday night's showing, and Sam attended the Sunday matinee. The entire cast and crew did an amazing job, which kept the audience really entertained, and it was a pleasure to see hard work and commitment come to life. And we're so very proud of of all the students involved. Let's see. There we go. Continuing on, I wanted to provide an update regarding Socktober, the fun fundraiser initiative started by our science teacher, Mr. Zewis. The school collected 128 pairs of socks, which will be donated tomorrow during a Student of the Month assembly to New Beginnings. The feeling among those who participated is this just the beginning of an annual Oak Hill High School tradition of supporting New Beginnings. Also on this slide is our backpack program and potential food pantry in collaboration with Kathy Martin and the Community Care Backpack Program. We are handing out backpacks full of food and necessities to students and families in need. The support has been well received, and we look forward to adding more backpacks in the near future. We're also in discussion to start a food pantry at the high school with the support of Jobs for Maine graduates, JMG students, and the Future Business Leaders of America students, that's FBLA, and I'll update you on our progress with that. And the last slide that I have here is for our continued community service, the Future Business Leaders of America, as I mentioned before, FBLA. Its club is led by Angela Roy and Erica Federico. FBLA volunteered last Friday at Pine Tree Camps to do fall cleanup. The group had amazing weather and enjoyed their time volunteering. And for those of you guys that don't know, Pine Tree Camp provides adults and students with disabilities recreational opportunities, which is pretty fantastic. And then finally, a quick update regarding professional development at the high school. We continue our progress with supporting students with each teacher participating in intervention rounds. Teachers identify a group of students who may be struggling in their class, set a goal, intervene, and record the outcome. The rounds happen bi-weekly, and the process is similar to our BAR program for freshmen and sophomores. And the purpose really is to be responsive and accountable to students' needs. And Sam has a couple of updates, so I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. So I'm just going to give you an update on how we are doing with our positive behavioral interventions and supports work at the high school and a couple of other items. So on Tuesday at our staff meeting last week, we took our next step into PBIS as a staff. So last month, you may remember we worked as a staff on all teachers creating their classroom expectations, positive behavior expectations. And so we got those all posted. So those are now hanging in the classrooms. We've also got our school-wide behavior expectations for our common spaces. A huge shout out to NJ who helped us with some beautiful posters. So that work is ongoing, getting those up and hung in places. And so the next step is for our staff, which is the focus of this month, to explicitly teach those behavior expectations. So that is work that is a little bit foreign to our staff at the high school level, but I'm really proud of them for embracing that work and, trusting me to lead us through that charge and know that that's work that we need to do with our students and that we'll have positive yield from that if they embrace it. So at our staff meeting on Tuesday, we talked about different ways, different strategies or techniques they could use to explicitly teach those positive behavior expectations, and we'll be working this month to do that in our common spaces like the cafeteria, morning spaces where students gather as well. In our staff meeting, we also outlined the work to come with PBIS. So we are looking forward to forming a PBIS committee at the high school that has student involvement and community stakeholder involvement. So if you can think of anybody who is a high school parent that would be a great fit for and they would invest in that work, feel free to shoot them my name so I can reach out. And we also, once that committee is established, we'll be looking to do a couple of things. The most exciting, I think, and the students will gravitate towards is coming up with, the positive recognition, right? So a system to recognize positive behavior. You've heard some of that kind of district-wide, so we're hoping to get that going. We do have a long-standing tradition at Oak Hill High School of doing Student of the Month, and that's a really positive assembly that happens month to month. I would encourage you, if you haven't seen one and you have the time, to stop in because it's really special. But it would be adding on to that and really taking the time to recognize our students that are living up to those expectations and being good examples for their peers. So that's PBIS, what's happening there. Just a couple of other things. Mr. Aliberti mentioned the BAR process, which is, of course, our teaming structure at the high school. So we are in our 5th year of working with the BAR organization, and so we have expanded last year. We expanded to 10th grade teams as well, so it's our teaming structure, and we continue to see really positive things with that BAR program. Just a couple of highlights from that. Just want to remind you, like their philosophy is to look for and celebrate student strengths, so that's just really tightly aligned with our philosophy as an administrative team at the high school, but also our district-wide theme this year. So some things to celebrate with specifically the BAR team teachers is that so far this year, all of our new BAR team teachers have gone through the 2-day implementation training that's provided by the BAR organization. So that's done. Everyone's like fully trained on that. We've sent out our first quarterly newsletters to all of the parents and caretakers on the freshman and sophomore teams. And then the thing that really excites me the most is that I tabulated today, part of our process in our regular agenda with the meetings is to find something to celebrate with students on team. And so as of today, we have sent over 100 positive postcards home about our Raiders at Oak Hill High School, which is great. So a huge thanks to our team members for their hard work and their efforts in that program and for focusing on the positive and celebrating success. And then finally, when we were here last time, we talked about the in-depth pilot program, the vaping cessation program. So I just want you to know that is underway, and just huge thanks to SRO Brown for her hard work and her realizing scheduling is sometimes not super easy, but we've been working hard to make sure that students who need that program are getting scheduled for it. We've had several students that have been referred already or in process of the program. And continuing the partnership with Healthy Androscoggin, we also had Vicki Wigman as a representative at our parent conferences this week, and she was there with information about vaping and cessation resources for parents as well. So just some updates about the high school. Appreciate your time, and if you have any questions, my partner can come back up too.
Yeah, right. Any questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Directors will be reporting at our next meeting, and our student rep is to report next meeting, but I wasn't sure, Desiree, if you wanted to speak about Clue. She was on. Is she still there? That's okay. We can skip her this time. Maybe we'll get her to speak about it next time. As part of our community and including everybody, I wanted to start adding our SRO to our agenda as a board, so we can also hear from our SRO what she's doing within our school community. So Megan, if you would like to come up, please. Thank you.
I don't know how to work it, so it might be better if somebody. Okay. I can do that. I'm good at. All right. So some of you know I'm very new to this. I got 10 years law enforcement experience, but new to the whole SRO thing. So I came to Sabattis PD in February with the understanding once we were fully staffed, the chief would allow me to kind of start filling into this role, and it happened pretty fast. So I started in August. There we go. Ooh, that's really small. So this is just a breakdown of everything that's happened. September, October, November, we're just rolling in. So September, we really started getting to the swing of things with school. You can see there's been no arrests, luckily.
Well, that's a positive.
That's a positive. We're doing good. A lot of what I've been doing is building relationships with the kids. Positive relationships. They see a cop, they're like, oh, I think I did something bad. That's not what this is about. I want them to get to know me, get to trust me, and be able to help them. I also work the road, school vacations in the summer, so I get to build those relationships with them as well outside of school, which has helped tremendously
kind of playing both roles. Anything school related that comes in outside of school hours automatically comes to me if it involves a kid within our district. So I got to chaperone a school dance in October. That was very enlightening. It was nice to see them in their element, though. It was enlightening, but great all at the same time. We did fire safety with the Sabattis Fire Department at our Sabattis schools, Oak Hill Middle, with 5th and 6th grade, and with Sabattis Primary. It was a hit with the kids. The 5th and 6th graders had a lot of very good questions with that. The fire department was really excited. And we started doing our school safety checks, like our school safety assessments with Derigo Public Safety. I'm actually meeting with them tomorrow. We're going to hit Sabattis Primary School, hopefully Carrie Ricker and Libby Tozier, depending on the time that we have. So we can hopefully get these done here pretty soon and get the rundown from them regarding that. That's pretty much it. We've dealt with some truancy issues, nothing too bad. Nothing major on my end. What I'm doing is pretty much just building relationships with them at this point, getting to know them getting to know me, vice versa. And getting to know staff, because I was here 15 years ago and everything's changed. So that's pretty much what I got.
Any questions?
So, Megan, with the bus training that you're doing with the students,
Yep.
Are the bus drivers, Jonathan, seeing that that's helping, knowing what expectations might be?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think some students who maybe were influenced by some other students to do the wrong thing, maybe this training reaffirmed, like, hey, this is actually the right thing to do. I'm going to do what I'm being trained. No matter how much training you do, there's going to be a couple kids out there that are going to cause some problems.
Yep.
But this will help, and I don't think it hurts to do this more than once throughout a school year. But certainly, at least trying this right now will certainly, I think, help with the bus drivers, yes.
And our main goal is the safety of the kids.
Right.
Like getting them to sit in their seats, not jumping around, not, doing things that would be unsafe for them if in the event that a bus were to get into an accident. So it's going to be a long-term conversation that we're going to have to just continue reaffirming these behaviors and saying, hey, look, you need to be sitting in your seat. You need to be facing forward. You can't be jumping across the seat to talk to your friend. If you want to talk to your friend, try to get a seat with them. So we're going to keep working on it. We have only done Sabattis Primary at this point. Libby Tozier is coming up on the 18th or something similar to that. So we're going to start rolling it out here and having those conversations. I have talked to some parents about some bus concerns, and they're very open to hearing what's been going on. So
I know you don't have a lot of time, but have you ridden the bus a few times?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. It's, again, much like the school dance, very enlightening.
Sure.
Yep. Those bus drivers have a lot going on, and, we're asking them to watch kids in the back of the bus at the same time as watching the road, and it's a lot. More power to them. They got a tough job.
Are we doing more than just the primary schools for training on the bus?
Yes. So I spoke with Kathy Perry this morning. She wants to be involved with the Oak Hill Middle School one that we should hopefully be starting on Tuesday this coming week.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. We'll move on to 6.1, old business, discussion of the cost sharing report submitted to the board from the Finance and Facilities Subcommittee.
So, I know everybody on the board has gotten a packet, right? So, I know it's gonna take a while, but I think what we're gonna do is go through everything in this packet. And that way there we'll have a better understanding of what we've gone through. Is there any?
Norma Jean's going to put it up there, so Bobby.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
So
so
that's what
Bobby,
I
you
was
can
gonna say,
talk.
so people
Yeah.
in the audience?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. There we go. All right, so we'll get started. So every 5 years, the RSU is required to review the cost-sharing formula for the additional local share. Now, I emphasize that because we're not talking about the state allocation piece. We're talking about the local share, which is 3 million, around over 3 million?
3.6.
3.6 million, all right? That goes beyond the ED 279, which is our paperwork that we have to, the state gives us to what we're required to raise and appropriate. Local funding to receive state funding for schools. The cost sharing formula for RSU4 is 50% enrollment, 50% evaluation, which has been the formula since the RSU4 district was formed in 2009. The current cost-sharing model for this current budget is broke down by each town. Local additional, okay, we'll go right across the whole line. Litchfield evaluation is $417,350,000. Town evaluation, that percentage is 45.98% of the local share. Enrollment is 433 students. The student percentage is 33.08%. 50% of the evaluation is what Litchfield has to raise, right?
Well, you've got to put the two together.
Right, well,
Yep,
we got,
you're right.
I'm just saying the valuation piece of it is $839,097.14. The 50% of the student piece is $603,607.41 for additional fund total of $1,442,704.55. Sabatis town evaluation, $354,300,000, which is 29.04%. 39.04%. The student enrollment piece is 643 students. The student percentage of the budget is 49.12%. The valuation piece, $712,332.86. The student, 50% of student, is $896,350.03 for a total of $1,608,682.89. Wales, town evaluation, $135,950,000, 14.98%. Their student enrollment is 233 students. Their student percentage is 17.80. Their 50% evaluation is $273,332.35. The 50% evaluation is $324,804.91 for a total of $598,137.26. Okay? So if you add that all up, our total evaluation of all three towns, $9,907,600,000. Student population enrollment is 1,309. The total evaluation piece that all three towns raised to fund the budget is $1,824,762. And the student, 50% of student is $1,824,000. It's exactly half, which comes up to $3,649,525. Everybody get that so far?
Mm-hmm.
On September 14th, 2022, the RSU4 school board discussed the importance of reviewing the cost-sharing formula and completing the report. At this meeting, the board reviewed the ED 279 formula, which determines the local share to meet the essential programming and services model in order to receive state funding. As part of this discussion, the business manager, Jessica Coulombe, shared that the Department of Education is recommending to RSU districts throughout the state to use the percentages from the ED 279. Here are the current percentages from the ED 279 for each district and how it translates to additional local share. You got the towns, ED 279, Litchfield should pay 46.13%, recommended by the state. The current Litchfield pays 39.53%. The ED 279 recommends that Litchfield contribute $1,683,525.88, and they currently contribute $1,442,704.55. Sabattis' share of the budget in the ED 279 is 38.73%. Sabattis currently pays 44.08%, which is the ED 279 amount, $1,413,461.03. Sabattis currently pays $1,608,682.89. Wales, ED 279, 15.14%. They currently pay 16.39%. And the ED 279 amount is $552,538.09. They currently pay $598,137.26, and those numbers add up to the totals. Any questions so far?
So just to reiterate, this second batch of numbers that you just,
That's
that's what
recommended
they're recommended by the
by
state.
the state,
Thank you.
because they say that most school districts, am I right, Sharon, go off the 279.
Yes.
That's how they,
100% valuation, not necessarily the ED 279.
right, well, 100% evaluation, yes.
And the majority of the districts surrounding us, Katie, use that.
Yeah, just for clarification, what the EDU 279 does is it takes enrollment
Right.
to set the total, and then it uses the valuation to set the percentages.
That
It
you-
uses a 3-year
that-
average value.
Correct. 3-year average evaluation and a 2-year average of enrollment.
Correct.
Right. So what they're saying is to stay consistent around enrollment and evaluation, you'd follow the state because they're updating their numbers, and it's a 3-year average, and it's enrollment. So it's just a recommendation, and
Most districts around us are using that.
yes, they said, yeah. And many times when they get a call, that's what they recommend because it's standard.
Yeah.
It's standard.
So the board discussed that the Maine Department of Education would not be accepted by Litchfield due to the amount increasing rather than decreasing. The board agreed that the Finance Facilities Committee would continue to the discussion and bring back a report for board approval in November. The Finance and Facilities Subcommittee met on September 21st, 2022, and discussed options provided by the business manager. The subcommittee reviewed the 50-50 formula based on evaluation enrollment back in 2007, 2014, and now. It was noted that percentage portion saw little change even with enrollment decline. The committee discussed the 40% evaluation and 60% enrollment formula, and there was a change to the model that may be done over 10 years rather than a one-time change. And then these numbers here is the 60-40 formula that was discussed. Now, I'm not going to continue to read off the numbers because I think we can see that the percentages difference and also the additional funds at the end and what that would change in each town's additional funds. The Finance and Facilities Subcommittee met again on September 27th, and at this meeting, Bob English provided the members with information comparing the cost in 2007 to the cost in 2022. Here is a comparison using the current cost-sharing formula. So what you can see from this number is that if you take a look at 2007 compared to what we pay in 2022, Litchfield's difference is $182,770, which is a 14.50% increase. Sabattis's increase is $243,174, which is a 17.84% increase. Wales's increase difference between those 07 and 22 was $115,364, and a 23.90% increase. So you're talking between 2007 and 2022, a total increase of all three communities of 541,246. So can you talk to that, Katie?
Yeah, well, I think that's just showing what your local contribution has gone up,
Right.
basically. Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the changes in evaluation, which, if you look at the numbers, the difference is in Litchfield from 07 to 2022, the difference in increase for evaluation is $180,100,000, which is a 75.9% increase. In Sabattis, it's $135,400,000, which was a 61.85% increase. And in Wales, it was a $57,800,000, which is a 73.9% increase. Over that same year period, the three communities' evaluation rose $373,300,000. So that's a pretty substantial number. In the changes in enrollment, Litchfield in 2007 was 599, and in 2022 it was 433, which is a decrease of 166, down 27.71%. Sabattis was 766, down in 2022 to 643, down 123, which is a 16.06% decrease. Wales, which was 268.5, I don't know how you get to 0.5, but it's numbers, which was a down to 233, which was only a 36 student decrease, which was only 13.22%. Here are the changes in the tax commitment for the additional local share. Litchfield in 2027 was 5.31 mils, and in 2022 it's 3.46 mils, which was a negative 1.85 mil difference, and a reduction of negative 34.91. Sabattis's mill in 2007 was 6.24. It's currently 4.54, down negative 1.7, down negative 27.21. And Wales was 6.18 in 2027. In 2022, 4.1, the difference of negative 1.78, and a total difference of negative 28.78%. The subcommittee also reviewed the same information using the 40-60 formula, an impact on the tax commitment for the additional local share over the same period of time. So those are those numbers right there. And the final part of the report is the subcommittee believes that moving to the 60-40 formula, which would reduce Litchfield's mill rate by 0.11 cents, would not be a significant decrease to the mill rate. Whether the formula is 50-50 or 40-60, Litchfield mill rate is lower than the other three towns. So in addition to the subcommittee examined Litchfield's request to have the additional local share be based on enrollment only, here is the impact of that formula. And as you can see, with the numbers, that number would increase Sabattis' share substantially. The subcommittee discussed that the significant impact of this change on Sabattis and Wales may not be supported by those two towns. Therefore, the subcommittee did not consider the change. It is important to note that the ED 279 does consider the enrollment to determine the local allocation for each town, and then uses evaluation to determine how much of the town's allocation is funded locally to, in turn, determine the amount funded by the state. Based on the information provided, the subcommittee voted unanimously to recommend to the board to continue the 50-50 cost-sharing formula.
Nice job.
Questions? Thank you.
So do you want to know something prospectively? Over 15 years, the three total town valuations increased by $373 million.
Right.
From 22 to 23, the three towns increased $138 million.
Yeah.
So we hit $1 billion this year.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
So your next budget was a significant change.
Yeah.
That's about as takes it on the chin this year.
Yeah, because Sabattis finally had the reevaluation. Yeah.
So can we unpack the mill rate piece? Because that's something that I think gets confusing to folks that haven't been into how schools are funded or like tax commitments or things like that. So is there a way to kind of unpack that a little bit? Like I hear it talked about a lot, but I don't think we really understand what it means.
Yeah.
Or Sharon. That's our official.
Bob, do you want to talk to that? There he is. Oh, you're done mute, yeah.
Maybe, yeah, okay.
Oh, you turned yourself
Oh,
off.
again.
Hello, Bob.
You're going in and out.
We missed you. Oh.
Now, am I okay now?
Yes.
Says I'm open.
Yep.
Okay.
You're
So
good.
the mill rate was, what is the tax liability on each individual ratepayer in the town based upon the evaluation of the property? So when we look at just total evaluation for the town and how much the town has to go and raise, that doesn't reflect really what it does to the individual taxpayer. So for the individual taxpayer, it's really the mill rate that impacts how much they pay. Whether they're a resident or they're from away, could be Lewiston, could be Augusta, could be Massachusetts. They own property, and if they're a local and they own property, the mill rate is spread evenly based upon the value of the property. So if we look at those mill rates that was presented there, those show that it's pretty even. I mean, it's not exactly even, but it's pretty even mill rate amongst the towns. And the mill rate has actually gone down. And that's a result of the property values going up higher than the school budget has gone up. So the percentage of the property's value has increased at a greater percentage than the school budget's additional local share has gone up. So, and that's good. I mean, you know, we're pretty tight with our school budget. We don't put any extra fluff in there. We keep it pretty close to bare bones, and that's the way it should be. Use the money responsibly. So, so if you were, you know, it's in the packet, let me see if I pull it out of here, turn my page. When we look at the mill rate that the 50-50 formula has resulted in over the life of the RSU, we can see that current mill rates, and it always was, in 2007, the lowest mill rate was for a Litchfield resident on their property, and the highest was Sabattis, and Wales was in between. In 2022, the lowest mill rate was still in Litchfield. So a person in Litchfield on, what is it, $100,000 or $1,000 of property would pay $300.46 towards education. Someone in Sabattis on $1,000 would spend $4.54, and someone in Wales would spend $4.40. So it's gone down, which is great. It's gone down, 34% in Litchfield. They pay 34, almost 35% less than their mill rate for education in 2022 than in 2027. And that's not a direct result of the 50-50. That's a direct result of the property valuation going higher and the school budget not increasing as drastically as the property valuation. So it's kind of like how much do we charge a resident for $1,000 or for $10,000, $100,000 of property value to fund education? And the mill rate tells us that. And it shows that if currently there's not much different, if we were to looking at any other formula, we have to remember that we really need to get somewhat of a consensus on a formula change, because it does need to pass in all three towns independently. It's not a total vote of all the combined towns, I believe. I believe that once you change the funding formula, that has to be approved in each of the three towns. Just like the reorganization had to pass in each of the three towns and not a combined vote. I'm not 100% sure on that, if that's the case. But I believe it would be a hard sell, even for the pretty small amounts that it would increase Sabattis and Wales taxes, to decrease the taxes in Litchfield by a pretty insignificant amount in the total, the total of the whole amount. So I think looking at the mill rate shows us how much a taxpayer with $1,000 or $100,000, whatever you're going to multiply it by, pays for their property taxes towards education. And currently Litchfield pays less, the property values are higher, and so that is the most. So I think that had something to do with the unanimous vote to retain the 50-50 cost funding formula.
Thank you, Bob.
Any further discussion?
I think it's really important that we did revisit all of this because you can't really deny the actual facts and the numbers that are there. And I think it's very informative for everybody to let them know how much of their actual taxes are theoretically funding education. You know, and I just think about it as you spend time on the lakes in Litchfield in the summertime and ride on the lakes and see the homes, and you see the homes going up in Sabattis and the homes going up in Wales. Like, you know, this is the cost of doing business. We have to be able to provide education for our kids, but I feel like this was very informative, so I thank the committee for doing this, because I think it's important that everybody get a small education on this. Yeah, thanks.
Anyone else? This was just for discussion. there's no voting for this one. So we'll go ahead and move on to new business. Reviewing the October 1st, 2022 enrollment numbers.
So this is what went into the State Department around our enrollment numbers. Some is feeding into that, and then there are other numbers that I provided so that you had a good picture of what's going on. So you can look here. What I did was just pick out where students are coming from, which town. So you can see in Libby Tozier, the number, Litchfield has 54 students there, Sabattis has 69, and Wales has 18. Does everybody have this?
I never got one in my packet.
You didn't get this one?
She didn't get the number.
Oh, here. I have an extra packet. Then you can see in Sabattis Primary, we have 55 students from Litchfield, 76 from Sabattis, 34 from Wales. And then I added the superintendent agreements and how those are funneled in because we do receive subsidy for superintendent agreements. Then you can see Carrie Ricker, we had from Litchfield, 76, Sabattis, 94, Wales, 24. Then Oak Hill Middle School, we have 122 from Litchfield, 187 from Sabattis, and 68 from Wales. Then at Oak Hill High School, we have 116 from Litchfield, 190 from Sabattis, and 73 from Wales. So you can see what our enrollment is down 40 students from 1,327 to 1,287 in our subsidy line. So these are students that are attending. So the top part, they're attending. Yeah, I'm correcting. Attending. Then you have subsidy of students not attending, which counts in, and we have students that attend other programs, but we get the subsidy for those students, and then we have to pay the tuition to those programs. And so you'll see that we have additional 7 students from Litchfield, and you can see which grades they are from, and Sabattis, and from Wales, and you add those in to get the total subsidy amounts. So first is the attending, and then total subsidy, okay? Then what I did is I added this, looked at the special education numbers from the ED 279 from last year to this year, and we're up 14 special ed students overall. Okay. Then on the next page, this represents the students that are not attending and are attending elsewhere or homeschooled. So you can see outside agreements. This is superintendent agreements going out, and I think we've talked about this before. We have more going out than coming in, and we'd like to reverse that trend. And I think all the great work of getting out the bright spots and the good news and the things that we're doing, the more community things we can be putting out there, families will see, wow, maybe we revisit. We might have gone, but now we'll revisit coming back in. It's very hard once a family does go somewhere else, and there are a variety of reasons for people choosing to go different places. It's hard to have people come back. So this year I really talked to families, some families that were asking for the first time, and really discussing that and the impact of that. And also we're really clear that these are one-time, this is annual, it should not be expected each time. But you can see we have 80 students that go out on a superintendent's agreement, and on the other page, you can see how many come in. I think it was 4, I'm not going to say the number right out loud, but I think it was 30, I think it was 34, thank you. I knew it was in the 30s. Thank you, Scott. And then charter schools, we do have students attending charter schools. There are 50 students. We have Acadia, which is in Lewiston. We have a good portion, I'd say 50% of that number attends Acadia. And then there are in other places, Baxter Technology School, Maine Connections, Maine Virtual. There are other schools. And you can see that the younger grades have them, and then we have them at the high school. And so those are choices families make, and then they usually stay there and then come back. So things we look at. Then you'll see homeschool. We had 119 homeschooled, and now we have 108. So that has had a decrease, but that's still significant. It's not unusual. We were at our superintendent's meeting this morning, and people were talking about the increase in homeschooled students for a variety of reasons. We're still coming back from COVID. There's a lot of adjustments in family, school staffing, things like that are impacting people's decisions around attending public schools in general. So you can see the difference. We have about 230 students or so that are not attending our schools, which does impact subsidy. So we trying to work to look at these numbers. Yes, we do have early start times, especially at the high school, middle school. Yes, we do. Probably a 45-minute difference in some cases. Yeah.
Any other discussion?
Yes, I do have that, and I was going to use that at budget time to kind of go over where we are on budget, but we're averaging around 5 teachers per grade, 4 to 5, and we're averaging class sizes can be between 15 and 18. So, yes. Bob, is he saying? Okay, Bob. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I didn't say anything. I just listened in.
Okay.
Yeah, the Finance and Facilities Committee has another task that the board gave us, and that was the classroom space based on the students, and I think that's probably the next thing that the Facilities Committee is going to undertake at the direction of the board. So these numbers are good to have. Obviously, they're down from the 1601 that we had in 2008 or 9, whenever the Department of Education allowed us to form the RSU. I think they said we had 1,601 students at that time, so that we could make the goal, so to speak.
Any other further discussion? And this was just another discussion piece. There's no voting for that. So we'll move on to committee reports. Finance and Facilities will be at our next board meeting. Personnel and Policy Committee.
Yeah.
So we reviewed some policies that most of these needed updates due to state legislation, specifically around the language of expulsion and suspension of students 5th grade or under, and the removal of recess. So we reviewed policy JK, which is student discipline, JIC, which is student code of conduct, JKE, which is the expulsion of students, and JKB, the suspension of students. So as a board, we can expect those to come to first reading at our next board meeting. And then Jonathan brought to us some transportation policies for review. He will be sharing those with bus drivers before we put it forth to the board for first reading. And our timeline for that is January. So that looks at bus code of conduct, bus stop, protocols, things like that. So there'll be some transportation policies coming your way shortly.
Any discussion? Anything further? Okay. CAI and Technology will be at our December meeting. So I will move on to number 9, board member comments. Anyone have any comments they'd like to make? Diane?
I worked at the election last night, and afterwards kept the ballots for Sabatis. I hope we never have to do that again, because we had to put them in piles of 50, which you requested, and they asked that next time you do this, that you provide them with a smaller piece of paper, because it was very hard to stuff the box at the
bundles of 50 is actually stable.
Yeah.
No choice on that.
So we had, first we had to separate them all.
I'm sure, yeah.
And you have to count them
then-
twice.
Huh?
And you have to count them twice.
We had to count them twice. Yes.
Yeah.
So we were there till 10:30 last night, just doing that.
And we appreciate everyone's hard work.
And they said that next time, maybe a board member needs to be at each voting place to count their own ballots.
Oh. Nobody would question that.
Yeah.
Anyone
But,
else?
yeah, on that note, really thank you to the community for the support yesterday. I mean, outstanding coming out and voting and supporting it. And the hard work last night, I know it was late night. I mean, on top of the governor race and all the other races you were counting up, to add that additional work. But it means a lot, and really appreciate the community support.
I second that. Yes.
If you wanted to make those electronic ballots, we would not have an objection to that. You have that option.
That'll be the goal for June.
There were a lot of ballots in there that people were like, I'm not sure of this, is it okay if I don't even vote?
Yeah.
And we said yes. So there was a large stack of those as well as the yes and no. So it's good that people just didn't vote.
Rather than vote uninformed. Yeah.
Anyone else? All right, seeing there's no further, without any objection, I'll go ahead and declare the meeting adjourned at 7:46 p.m.